What's up, Steelers Nation? Welcome back to the channel, your go-to spot for all things black and gold. Before we dive in, quick reminder, this team is constantly evolving, constantly working to get better, and they're leaving no stone unturned in pursuit of a 7th Lombardi trophy. We're talking about changes at quarterback, contract drama with key stars, and yeah, even some cryptic comments from ownership that are fueling a ton of speculation. So if you appreciate the work we put in to bring you daily exclusive Steelers content, smash that like button right now and hit subscribe so you never miss an update. Let's grow this channel together as we push toward that next championship. All right, let's get into it. We've got a developing story that every Steelers fan needs to keep a close eye on. And yes, it involves the face of the defense. TJ Watt Steelers insider Brian Batko made headlines this week after hinting that Watt could potentially hold out if a contract extension doesn't get done. That's right. The 2021 Defensive Player of the Year, one of the most dominant edge rushers in football, could choose to skip team activities, not because he doesn't want to play, but because he wants clarity on his future in Pittsburgh. Now, before anyone panics, let's be real. Watt has always handled his business like a pro. But we've seen this before. Remember 2021? Watt showed up to training camp but didn't participate in practices until he had his deal finalized. That hold-in strategy worked, and it avoided drama while keeping him involved. Smart, right? Still, there's a sense of urgency here. Watt is now entering the final year of his deal, and if something doesn't get done soon, we could see a repeat, or worse, a full-blown holdout. That's a situation Pittsburgh cannot afford. Let's face it, Watt is the defense. He's the tone setter. He's the guy every offensive coordinator loses sleep over. You don't let a player like that walk, no matter what. So the ball is in the Steelers' court now. Will they get this done before things get messy? Now let's talk about the other name Batko brought up, George Pickens. The young wideout who has all the talent in the world, but hasn't quite figured out the whole professionalism thing yet. Pickens is also entering the final year of his rookie deal, and unlike Watt, there's no buzz about an extension coming anytime soon. Why? Well, 2 reasons. 1, maturity. Or maybe we should say lack thereof. Pickens has flashed brilliance on the field, jaw-dropping catches, physical dominance, that alpha dog energy, but off the field, it's been a roller coaster. He's had outbursts, social media drama, and more than a few sideline tantrums. 2. DK Metcalf. The Steelers went out and traded for the former Seahawks star and immediately gave him a new deal. That says something. It says the organization wanted a true WR1, and maybe they don't fully trust Pickens in that role. So where does that leave George? Honestly, it's complicated. If he skips OTAs or even holds out of minicamp, it might raise more red flags. But if he shows up, keeps his head down, and balls out this season, he might play his way into a massive contract. Maybe in Pittsburgh, maybe somewhere else. We're going to find out a lot about George Pickens' mindset over the next 2 months. With OTAs and minicamp around the corner, all eyes will be on who shows up and who doesn't. Look, we all know OTAs are optional. Mike Tomlin's been clear. He doesn't pressure guys to attend. But let's not kid ourselves. When your top edge rusher and a star receiver are both sitting out voluntary workouts, that says something, and we've seen how this plays out. Cam Hayward skipped last year's offseason stuff, showed up for OTAs, and got his deal done. The precedent is there. The real pressure point? June 10th, the start of mandatory minicamp. If Watt and Pickens skip that, it's go time for contract talks. And then we head straight into training camp, where hold-ins or full-blown holdouts could become the headline of the summer. Now, let's shift gears, because all of this is happening under the cloud of the biggest unanswered question in Pittsburgh right now. What the heck is going on with Aaron Rodgers? The Steelers have been linked to Rodgers since free agency opened. And for weeks now, we've heard the same thing. Mutual interest, strong connection, Rodgers is taking his time, yada, yada, yada. But here's the thing. We're running out of time. And the longer Rodgers waits, the worse it looks for the Steelers. Pittsburgh has one of the weakest QB rooms in the NFL. Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, Skylar Thompson, that's not going to cut it in the AFC North. The Steelers want Rodgers, that's clear. He's the missing piece. The team has made it known publicly. Art Rooney II has hinted as much multiple times. And then there's minority owner Thomas Tull, who went viral this week after making a hilarious AI joke about Rodgers on CNBC. When asked about the QB's status, he said, "I'm here to talk about AI, and that's a more complex issue than artificial intelligence." That's both funny and true. Rodgers is unpredictable, but he's made it clear. This isn't about money. It's about where he's at in his life. And unfortunately, only he knows the answer to that. But here's the deal, Steelers Nation. At some point, the team has to move on. You can't wait forever. You can't let the entire offseason hinge on one man's personal decision. Training camp is coming, and the team needs 4 quarterbacks on the roster. Rodgers would be the 4th, and clearly the best. But if he doesn't commit soon, Omar Khan and the front office will need a plan B. And let's be honest, the options are bleak. Carson Wentz? Not the answer. Kirk Cousins via trade? Unlikely, expensive, and complicated. Rodgers is still the best option. But the clock is ticking. The Steelers want to win now, and they can't afford to play the waiting game for much longer. Look, nobody questions George Pickens' talent. The guy is a walking highlight reel. Big plays, sideline grabs, toe taps, body control, he's got it all. He embarrasses top-tier corners weekly. If you're talking raw ability, he's already a top 10 guy in this league. But talent only gets you so far in Pittsburgh. And here's where things get tricky. Pickens' time in the black and gold has been rocky. The flashes of brilliance, unreal. But the emotional outbursts, the on-field frustration, the social media antics, they've all cast a shadow over what should be a breakout NFL career. There's real debate within Steeler Nation right now. Has Pickens matured enough to earn that massive second contract? Or are we watching the early signs of another Antonio Brown situation? According to multiple reports, including Jason Mackey of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, both sides may be eyeing a split after this season. The 2025 trade deadline could be the last call, but that doesn't mean it's over yet. In fact, Mackey believes Pickens still has a shot to turn the narrative around and earn a long-term deal with the Steelers. And believe it or not, the key might be standing right next to him in the wide receiver room. Here's where it gets really interesting. The Steelers' acquisition of DK Metcalf wasn't just about upgrading the offense. It may have also been a chess move aimed at fixing Pickens from the inside out. Mackey put it perfectly. He said, "Metcalf has been the emotional outburst guy, the petulant receiver, the guy who has had to channel his intensity. There's probably a great deal he could share with Pickens." And he's right. DK Metcalf came into the league just like Pickens, a freak athlete with a massive chip on his shoulder. He had sideline blow-ups. He got flagged for taunting. People doubted if he'd ever become a true professional. But here's the difference. He figured it out. He calmed down, he focused, and he earned not just 1, but 2 big contracts. Even after getting traded to Pittsburgh, he walked in the door with a fresh extension in hand. The man knows how to channel passion into production, and that's exactly the lesson Pickens needs to learn. So now, for the first time in his young NFL career, George Pickens has a mentor in the room who truly understands him. Same mindset, same raw talent, same fire, but a little older, a little wiser, a little more polished. And if Pickens is smart, he'll soak up everything Metcalf has to offer. Let's be blunt here. Pickens' emotions are the only thing standing between him and a $30 million per year contract. Whether that deal comes from Pittsburgh or another team doesn't even matter right now. If Pickens proves he can be that guy, consistent, reliable, professional, teams will line up to throw cash his way. But if he keeps letting his emotions sabotage his play or divide the locker room, he's the next Chase Claypool. And we've seen how that movie ends. The Steelers aren't just trying to win games, They're trying to build a locker room that can sustain success. That's why they're being cautious. And that's why this season is so pivotal for Pickens. His future, in Pittsburgh or anywhere else, is 100% in his hands. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If Pickens doesn't mature this season, Mike Tomlin will move on. Period. This isn't speculation. This is a pattern. Think about it. Martavis Bryant, Chase Claypool, even Antonio Brown. Tomlin has had some of the most explosive receiver talent in the league under his watch, and he's let them walk every time when the headaches outweighed the production. Claypool is a cautionary tale. Big, athletic jump ball monster, just like Pickens. He had a couple of big games, started mouthing off, didn't grow up, got traded, and now he's out of the league. Tomlin doesn't play around with that stuff. He'll let guys be themselves, to a point. But when they stop being team-first players, they're gone. This is Pickens' year to prove he's not that guy. All right, Steelers Nation, this is where we turn it over to you. What do you think about T.J. Watt's contract situation? Should the team prioritize locking him down ASAP, even if it means big money again? And what about George Pickens? Do you think he's worth keeping long-term, or is it time to consider moving on? And of course, what's your gut telling? You on Aaron Rodgers? Will he sign before minicamp, or are we headed toward a total QB crisis? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm going to be reading and replying all night. This team is at a critical crossroads, and we want to hear your voice. If you enjoyed the video, smash that like button, share it with your fellow Steelers fans, and don't forget to subscribe so you stay locked in all off-season. We've got huge updates coming, and you're not going to want to miss a second. Let's go Steelers!